Stand up, Vanguard.
I'll draw. I'll discard the grade 3 so I can ride Draco Kit. Your turn.
Stand and draw. Discard Overtrigger. To ride Determined Breakaway Youth. This skill of my starter, I draw 1 card for going second. I'll attack your Vanguard for 8.
No guard.
Drive check. No trigger.
Damage. Crit.
Go ahead.
Draw. I'll discard a crit. Attack and ride the grade 2. Swing for 10.
No guard.
Check. Draw trigger. Power. And then I draw.
Damage check. Front trigger. Power.
Your turn.
Stand and draw. I'll discard Spiral Cutie to ride Knight of Ardent Light Youth. I will use this skill of my Spiral Cutie first to Soul Blast out my Star Lily, put herself to the bottom of the deck and draw 1 card. Then I'll use the skill of my Determined to Break Away Youth by Soul Blasting 1. I'll look at the top 3 cards of my deck. I can call out 1, and then I'll put the rest on the bottom of my deck in any order. I'll play Knight of Ferocity Angus. I'll take my Maple to attack your Vanguard for 10.
Guard.
I'll attack with my Vanguard for 10.
No guard.
Drive check. No trigger.
Damage. Amazement Magician.
I'll attack with my Knight of Ferocity. His skill activates. Since I have at least 2 more rear guards than you, he gets plus 10k power.
No guard.
Oh, my turn.
I'll stand and draw. I'll discard so I can ride grade 3 Favrneel. And then at the beginning of my turn, you choose one of your...
I'll retire Maple.
And since you retired a card, I get to put a card from my hand into the soul. I'll put this grade 3 into the soul. And I'll draw a card. Cool. So then I'll call Draco Kid. Since I have a grade 3 in my soul, I get to soul charge 1. And since my Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher, this is a grade 3. So I get the second part of the skill that I get to grab a grade 3 from my drop and put it into soul. Next I'll call another grade 3, and I'll also call Hypno Grasper. So then I'm gonna swing with Favrneel for 13 to your Vanguard.
No guard.
First check, heal trigger. I do heal 1. I'll heal out Amazement Magician, and I'll give the power over here. Second check, grade 3.
Damage check. No trigger.
Then I'll use Favrneel's skill. Since I have Dark States cards that equal, the grades equal 13, I can counterblast 2 and restand, and it gets drive -1. So I'll swing again for 13 to your Vanguard. 1 drive.
25 to pass.
First check, crit. And it's all effects here. Give them the crit and the power. So next I'm going to swing with Elios. Hypno Grasper, because I have 6 or more cards in my soul, he gains boost, so I'm going to boost with him also. But the skill of Elios, since I'm attacking your Vanguard, I get to put this card into soul. to retire your rearguard. And since my Dark States cards in my soul equal 13 or higher, I get to countercharge 1. And then Favrneel's skill says that I can put a card from my hand into soul to draw a card, since I retired a rearguard. So that's gonna be 23, 33 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage check. No trigger.
The next I'm gonna swing with the other Elios. I'll use its skill to put Hypno Grasper into the soul, but you don't have any rearguards for me to retire, but I can still counter charge. It's gonna be 23 and a crit.
I'll guard for 25.
Your turn.
Stand and draw. I'll discard Spiral Cutie Angel in order to ride Sword Saint Knight Gramgrace. I will not use the skill of Spiral Cutie. However, I will resolve the skill of the Maple in my drop zone. Since I rode a grade 3 or greater this turn, in the ride phase, I can call it out for my drop. Then I'll activate the skill of my Gramgrace by counterblasting 1, soul blasting out 1. I can draw 1 card, and then I can call out 1 rearguard, or unit, I should say, in the back row center. This unit gets an additional 10k power and can attack from the back row. Then I'll play Yellow Jeweled Beast Topaz. I'll take 2 cards that were originally in my ride deck and put them back in my ride deck, face up, in order to look at the top 5 cards of my deck and choose 1 rearguard, 1 unit, and call it. I'll call my Knight of Ferocity, Angus, and then I will shuffle. Then finally I'll call Bringer of Soaring Wind, Lech, to the back row. I'll go ahead and go into combat. I'll take my Knight of Soaring Blade, Favrneel, to attack your Vanguard for 23.
No grade.
At the end of the battle that the unit in the back row attacked, it goes into soul and I draw 1 card. Then I activate the skill of my Knight of Soaring Blades. I will soul blast out 1, discard 1 card from my hand in order to give my Gramgrace an additional 10,000 power and drive to this turn. I'll then attack your Vanguard with my Sword Saint Knight Gramgrace for 23, Twin Drive plus 1.
Okay. For 43. 2 to pass.
First check, critical trigger. I'll give the power to my Maple and the critical to my Knight. Second check, critical trigger. I'll give the critical to my Maple and the power to my Knight. Third check, no trigger. I'll take Maple, boosted by Topaz, to attack your Vanguard for 28, 2 damage.
28. 42.
Finally, I'll use my Knight of Angus, boosted by Lech, to attack your Vanguard. Since I have at least 2 more rearguards than you, or units, I get an additional plus 10k, so it'll be 38, 2 damage.
No grade. I'll stand and draw. So at the beginning of my ride phase, I'll activate Purgatory Baron skill to bind the card. I'll also discard a card from my hand to activate the Persona Red, and then I'll draw for the Persona Red. Then I'll activate Favrneel's skill that at the beginning of my main phase, you get to choose one of your rearguards to retire.
Retire Maple.
And since I didn't ride this turn, Favrneel gets another 10k and a crit. And then Favrneel's second skill, since I retired one of your rearguards, I'm gonna place Squalid Freaks into the soul to draw a card. And then I'll call Draco Kid, but I won't use that skill to soul charge. So I'm gonna swing with Favrneel. This is gonna be 33, but I'm gonna activate the skill of Squalid Freaks since my Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, when it attacks, and if I didn't ride this turn, I get to bind this card, and all my front row get another +5. So this is gonna be +15, another +15, and +5. 38 to your Vanguard, and a crit.
I'll perfect guard the attack by discarding Latch.
First check, second check, Overtrigger. So I'm going to draw for the Overtrigger, and then my Vanguard gets an additional 10k and crit for the rest of the game. And then I'll give the 100 million to this Elios. And then at the end of the battle, since my Soul has Dark States card that the grades equal 13 or more, I'll counterblast 2. Sorry, I meant to restand it, but I counterblast 2 to restand, and then it gets drive -1. So I'll swing one more time. This is gonna be 20, 30, 35, 48, 1 drive, 2 additional crits, so 3 damage.
I'll guard for 53.
Check. No trigger. And then I'll swing with this Elios boosted by Draco Kid, so it's going to be 28, 36 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage check. Critical trigger. My Vanguard gets an additional 10k power.
And then I'll swing with this Elios. I'll use its skill to put Draco Kid into the soul. I will retire the cat in the back row. And then I'll countercharge. And then I'll use Favrneel's skill to put this card into the soul. And I'll draw a card. So it's gonna be 100 million plus 15 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage check. No trigger.
Your turn.
I'll stand and draw. I'll Persona Ride. I'll draw for the Persona. The skill of my Gramgrace gives the Persona Ride to my back row as well. I'll use the skill of Gramgrace to Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, draw 1 card, and then I will call out my Dyphon to the back row. Dyphon gets an additional 10k thanks to Gramgrace's skill. Then I will go all in and call out my Saul, my Alpec, and my Asmir Dragon to the field. I will then take my Gramgrace to attack your Vanguard. The skill of my Dyphon gives Gramgrace an additional 5k power, attacking your Vanguard for 28, Twin Drive.
Page.
First check, critical trigger. I'll give all effects to my Saul. Second check, no trigger. Then I'll attack with my Dyphon from the back row for 30.
No good. Draw a trick. I was gonna be able to guard it.